Welcome, everybody, to another live recording of the Business Travel 360 Linking the Travel Industry podcast, where we discuss travel industry news you're talking about on LinkedIn. My name is Rian, and I'm one of your hosts today. I'm a co-founder at Agentivity, where we provide operational reporting and data automation solutions for travel sellers. So if that sounds of interest, do get in touch. As usual, I'm joined by Ash and Anne to help me discuss our list of stories with you. So over to you, Anne.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Anne. I work as an independent consultant and mainly in distribution. Happy to help you with anything related to NDC, one order, retailing, etc. Over to you, Ash.
I kind of like on. Let's go with that one. Hi, everyone. My name is Ash, and I'm the host of a weekly business travel podcast called What's Up in Business Travel, where we give you only the important updates in under 15 minutes. Additionally, I'm the vice president of client success at Traxo, and this is linking the travel industry.
Sounds very posh, huh? On. Very on. How are you?
Nice ring. On and off.
Yes.
Right?
It rhymes.
You need two A's in front of your name.
Yes. And then I can go Rion as well. So there we go.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Rion.
Oh my God, we're on to something big here.
Yes, maybe we are.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
So,
new theme.
For those new to the event, welcome. We normally get each other's names right. That's not, how we usually talk. So anyway, the format of this discussion is a quick, non-biased, importantly, and spontaneous review of the previous week's top LinkedIn travel industry related stories. So let's start with our list of stories from last week. First one that caught my eye for different reasons than you might think. I saw that a company called Genius Travel, and it's important ME at the end as well, Genius Travel, M.E. which I don't know what it stands for. They've managed to raise 2 million euros to grow its AI-powered travel planning app. Now, if you are joining us on the live event today, you'll see the graphic there. I screenshotted their LinkedIn company presence. It doesn't look great. 0 to 1 employees, 229 followers. I struggled to find information about this company. And were you aware of these guys before I posted about this?
No, and actually I have exactly the same question marks. And I sort of also, what are they supposed to do? And it's really impressive that they can raise 2 million. Some rich friends. But I always struggle with that we don't have enough information about what is the plan? What challenge are they going to solve? I think this goes for many, many of the startups.
Indeed. I mean, a quick, search on the internet looks like they're quite into their city guides, helping people travel in various cities, but there's not much, information there.
So many are.
Yes, indeed. More important story really that was hitting the headlines all over the week last week was the Wizz Air news that they're pulling out of Abu Dhabi. I believe this is after 6 years of operation. They are citing geopolitical instability and limited market access. I mean, I read through the lines there that they are struggling to establish, the right connections in that city. So I'm going to come to you, Ash. What do you make of this?
I think it's the right move. And I think that anytime you see friction in a certain market, you don't have to keep going at it when you know it's not going to be successful. Let's take that operation and focus it in a new market or a different market or to supplement the existing market that you have success in. So to me, this is a smart move by Wizz Air. And I think that Wizz Air does make these smart moves. We've seen a little bit of this happening in the US market with a couple of airlines just realigning themselves based on profitability. And I think that anybody that does that is going to be in it for the long game.
Now, and unfortunately, there's also quite a lot of redundancies here, right?
Didn't we predict this, that they were going to pull out of this market? I was expecting them to hook up on some virtual interlining schemes. That's what I expected from this move, and mainly with Indigo. But I think it's just taken too long.
I mean, Ash, I'm with you, for an airline to acknowledge when they're not successful and rather than keep trying, it's a seriously big decision for them to make. Good that they made it as opposed to pretending that it's fine and having a loss there. So I guess I agree with that one, absolutely. And then a very strange thing which I saw, Airlines for Europe. I didn't know that existed, but it's obviously a body of European airlines. This is a very strange thing. There's a proposal by the European Parliament to remove a customer's choice of whether they want a cabin bag included in their package or not, which is how I read it. I had to read this a few times to make sure I understand this correctly. The person who wrote about this, where I picked up on this, was Luc de Wilde. And he was asking the question, what's next? Mandatory popcorn and drinks as part of your cinema ticket. It's a very strange thing. Did I understand that correctly, Anne? They want to enforce that you must always have cabin bag included.
They want to, within Europe, have one cabin bag. I'm very ambivalent on this because I can sort of see the effort of allowing this because I believe that there is a lot of confusion and, a lot of extra work because of the cabin bag. But I can also understand, we spoke about this, didn't we? And, Ash, I know what you feel about this, and it really should be up to the airline to decide. I think the problem is that we have so many different rules, so many different measurements. It's a mess. But I found what's very interesting on that post. They said that 50 million people in Europe travel without a cabin bag. That's pretty high.
Certainly not on the flights I've been on, but there we go.
Not on the flights that I've been on either.
I mean, the problem is the opposite as far as my experience is that people, abuse the system and take too much on, etc. I cannot understand how the European Parliament can say, okay, this is now a new rule. Ash, tell us what you think of it.
I'm sure elections are coming up because the only time politicians talk about how they're going to make air travel better for everybody is when you have elections around the corner. So this is probably a way to appease and say, look at what I'm doing. I'm going to get you a free cabin bag and vote for me. The other element is that are they absolutely crazy? This is nonsense to the highest degree. Leave the industry alone. It sounds like the EU would like to have an airline run by politicians. So why don't they create a new airline and run it? And they can do free bags for all and all that kind of good stuff.
This is a very strange one. So again, if you in the audience have a view on that one, let us know. But it sounds like, all three of us are agreeing. This is utter madness. Now, speaking of those in the audience, let me just turn to you for a second. We're not done. We've got a few more slides coming up and in fact, a different format today as well. I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you for giving us your time on a Monday. We really appreciate that, especially during GPTA Denver as well. Do let us know where you are listening in from. We love that as well because we've got such a global audience. Just drop your name and tell us which city you are in and we'll get that on screen as well. Ideally, we also then give you a few extra connection requests today, which is ultimately our purpose here is to make sure more of us are connected to one another. So again, just say thank you and let us know where you're listening in from. So they've got a few more stories. Now I'm going to change the format a little bit, guys, and hopefully I can keep this up. I did well in the actual post that I did on a Friday. And I thought what I would do is I start with a post that did really well from the previous week, which was a surprise to me as well. So Alex, again, we keep bringing your photo up here, but your post is doing really well regarding the travel industry. And you did this post about a seat map for China Eastern. Ash, did you see that post from Alex?
Here's my take on this missing rows. They're not actually missing. This is the rows that are occupied by the Chinese Communist Party members. They're just not on the map. In the plane itself, I think there is a row 8, 9, 10, but that's reserved for those group of people, not available to the general public.
It's the Matrix rows. They're not there. They're there, but they're not there. Yes. Okay, I see. And then I have another category from last week, which is certainly the most divisive post. This is a post that I saw Bruce McKindo, and he did a post about Delta saying that they're going to continue their deployment of AI-driven pricing in about 20% of their domestic market, and it will determine pricing, at the time for the person at the right time, etc. And he was just going on about, is this really helping us or is this going to milk the consumer the most? This is a tricky one for me because, we need change in pricing and everybody is asking for personalization, which this is not. This is market optimization. But at the same time, we want the airlines to succeed and be successful in their businesses. So, and what did you make of this?
Well, as you know, I'm all in favor of this. And I know that Delta are using Fetcher, and I really admire what they do. I think that revenue management is due for an overhaul. I think there is a huge opportunity to use AI to help in this area because there is just so much data to consider. Most sort of medium-sized airlines will have like 100, 150 people doing pricing just for air. And I'm not saying that they should be replaced in any way. I'm just saying that we should put some focus on ancillary revenue management as well, which they always say that they haven't got time for. They always complain about that. So I think this is huge. And I think we can be greatly helped by this kind of functionality. So kudos to Delta in my book.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Absolutely. Ash, where do you stand on it?
So I think that we have this misunderstanding that somehow airlines owe us the lowest fare in the market. It's like this misconstrued idea. The airline's job is not to give you the lowest fare. When we talk about customers, a lot of times we think that the passengers are Delta's customers, but Delta has another set of customers called stockholders. And those customers demand profitability and they demand exceptional efficiency within the organization. With that expectation, Delta doing what they're doing is totally in line with what they should be doing, as Anne mentioned. And whether they're using Fetcher or some other technology, it doesn't really matter. The point is that Delta has understood that the static pricing of yesterday is not what the consumer expects tomorrow. Now, if you find that to be offensive because you think that they owe you the lowest fare, then you're highly mistaken. Like any business, their job is to have the highest price customers are willing to pay. To me, all of this just kind of makes sense. I'm not offended by Delta doing this. I think this is great. And I think all the other airlines will follow.
100% agree, Ash. So thank you for summarizing that much better than I could. One that got away post. I'm a bit disappointed here that this post didn't generate more engagement because I think this is big news. And this is the news that Qatar Airways have launched a subscription plan for their frequent flyer program. We know Christophe Qatar there, that this is, and why he's not responding to us. He's very busy, right? He's got lots of things going on there, but he's launched this program where you have to pay, well, not have to, but you pay a subscription plan and that builds up your Avios. This post did almost no engagement, no interaction, no comments. I don't understand why. Maybe it's the graphic. And what do you think?
I have no idea. I mean, to me, this is the biggest news of the week.
There we go.
Right? It's textbook, isn't it? I think that they're really showing us that, yes, we can do this as a large, network airline. So kudos to them. And I don't understand why there's no engagement.
But Ash, now that we've talked about it, maybe there'll be a bit of engagement, right?
That's what we do here at Linking the Travel Industry. We bring you likes and reads and all that kind of stuff. So this is, again, another way for somebody who's got $3,500 a year to spend on this program. And that gives you 20,000 points and it adds to your status, which I think is really, really critical. So if you're playing the status game, this is very helpful for that. And you can do that while you're sitting on your couch. Not bad.
Absolutely. And again, this is why we sound all surprised at why this post did not do that well. But let's see what happens now to this news. I think those were the stories on my list. It was a very short week with regards to news. I hope you like the new format where we pick, the various type of categories ones as well. Let us know what you think. And I do think that, Ash, you might have a story or two for us.
Yeah, so if you remember a couple of weeks ago, BCD partnered with Skylink.
Yes.
And we talked about that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So this week, BCD now has partnered with Oversea for agentic AI. Now we've seen BCD in the news with different AI companies that they're bringing in. And I think BCD is poising themselves for some super success. This is, I think, not just a fluke. This is part of an overall strategy.
Very nice. Thank you for bringing us that one.
Space News!
I'm just guessing, but maybe there's space news.
So this is my favorite thing that I talk about is space news. So we dropped a recap. We can no longer just talk about space news on the show on a weekly basis. There's too much stuff happening. So now we have a recap version of space news. So last week, Axiom 4 came back home from the International Space Station. So this was a pretty monumental mission. It included 4 different countries, the US, India, Poland, and Hungary. 4 astronauts went up to ISS, spent 20 days, and they're back home now. Blue Origin launched their 33rd space flight. You also have ULA launching the Amazon satellites into space. We talked about Virgin Atlantic offering Starlink now. Speaking of Starlink, they're now approved for India. And the surprise news of space news this week is that the Philippines wants to get into the space business. So the Philippine Space Agency is going to be putting together a plan to highlight the fact that they are an ideal spot for space missions and that they're opening up their country for space travel. So that's a recap. And of course, if you want to see all the details of every one of these different stories, you can do that at businesstravel360.com.
Yeah, very nice. So Qatar Airways, you mentioned them as installing Starlink on most of their planes now. They've actually achieved a record because they've cut their what they call retrofit time from 3 days to just 9.5 hours per aircraft. So they can put Starlink into an aircraft within 9.5 hours and get it out of the hangar again and back in service, which is extraordinary.
You did it in 30 minutes.
Yes,
yourself.
I know. That just speaks to the simplicity of the Starlink equipment, which, is very simplistic. But of course, it's a bit more complicated in an aircraft. But it's unbelievable to me that they can do that within 9.5 hours. So it's very exciting. Wow. Okay, guys, this was a shorter show than usual. So that's just because of the week. Again, for those at GBTA in Denver this week, have a great time. Thank you to you both. Over to you, On.
Thanks, everyone. And also my best wishes for GBTA. And
thank you so much. And thank you all for joining today's live recording of Linking the Travel Industry. We record this podcast live every week on Monday. We ask that you share this event with others that you know. Chances are high that if you enjoyed today's session, those that you know will as well. If you ever miss a show because of time zone or availability, the podcast is available on businesstravel360.com. This is Linking the Travel Industry, signing off.